The healing tingled as her fingers traced the edges of the cut. He would recover to fight again if the head wound had not addled his brain, and if Coleridge let him live. She moved to his head and took a deep breath, gathering her strength for what could be a very difficult mending. He had escaped death so far, but the blow to his head might have destroyed his mind, or only part of it. Her fingers clenched. The empty ones were the worst, but the need was strong in her to repair and restore, to heal. She could not stop now any more than she could stop breathing. She slowly placed her hands along both sides of his face, then drew them up over his forehead into his hair, listening. The force of will that she encountered nearly sent her reeling. Relieved, she gently cradled his head and slid her hands to the back of his neck. Other than a shallow cut at the back of his scalp from the blow that had knocked him out, she could sense no deeper bleeding that would threaten his life or his mind. She mended the broken skin with a few gentle touches, glad that he had taken no further harm. He would awaken soon, with a massive headache. She would soothe that away when he could speak to her, and she confirmed that his mind was whole. She stood back, and for the first time really looked at the man. What she saw took her breath away. Strong of limb and clean-lined, he boasted the massive shoulders and arms of a warrior. Despite the bindings that held them together palm to palm, she could see that his hands were large and calloused, probably from wielding one of the heavy longswords, claymores they called them here, as well as other hard work. Fine dark hair swirled lightly across his heavily muscled chest and trailed down his flat belly to disappear beneath the leather trews that covered narrow hips and muscular thighs. A strong pulse beat in the brown column of his throat, and his face, under the blood and grime of battle, boasted even features, the nose unbroken, lips full, and eyelashes long and dark where they rested on high cheekbones. As she regarded him, she fought the urge to caress his face with her fingertips. Tiny laugh lines around his eyes and mouth betrayed the only trace of the person within. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine his smile. Her talent did not help her with that. Though she often wished it would show her the past or the future, it persisted in showing her only the now and the needs of her patients, no more. Until he awoke, she would not know the colour of his eyes, nor the temper of the spirit that dwelled within his massive body. She moved to her chair and sat down to wait. Toran became aware of his surroundings slowly. First came the pounding in his head, painful evidence that he was not dead after all. He should be glad, he supposed, and would be when the infernal hammering stopped. Then he realized that his hands and feet were bound. He was a prisoner. How the devil had he allowed that to happen? His nostrils flared, and he fought to remain still in case someone watched. Try as he might, he could not remember. His head hurt too much to concentrate. Instead, he kept his eyes closed and listened intently for any sound that would give away the presence of a guard. The faint whisper of soft breathing told him someone else waited nearby. Distant shouts and clangs pierced the silence. Did a battle still rage? What had happened to the two men who'd come with him to meet with the Aileanna Laird? Had they escaped? Or were they dead on the field of battle? He carefully tested the strength of his bonds and found them damnably sufficient to restrain him, at least for now. Focusing inside himself to gingerly catalogue other aches, he tried to recall the last moments of the battle that brought him here. The usual residue of physical violence remained in the arms, shoulders, back, and legs, all of which were old companions, and none of which brought back any particular memories of the fight. Suddenly, he noticed cool air on his skin that should not have been bare to any breeze. For a brief moment, he hoped he was wrong about being a prisoner, if he'd been stripped and left for dead on the battlefield. But nay, if that were true, he wouldn't be bound. A soft cough startled him, and his eyes flew open. He was surprised to see rough-spun cloth peeking over him, blocking the anticipated view of the sky. He turned his head slowly against the pane to survey the rest of his surroundings and saw a lass dozing in a chair set against the wall of the tent. Only a lass to guard him? Was he injured worse than he kenned, then? Nay, none of the all-too-familiar pain that came with serious wounds plagued him, thankfully.